Well, now you've got pro-trans community websites, and it's worse now because it's not websites. They're actually apps on their phones and discussion groups that their parents have no way to monitor whatsoever. And these groups then teach and train them how to, for example, bind their breasts. If they're a girl and they want to flatten their chest and where to order the breast binders, they teach them how to get cross-sex hormones without parental consent, which is legal in many states now.
Oh.
They teach them what to say to teachers to block the teachers from speaking to their parents. And the teachers are only too happy to do this. Many schools in California now have policies that the teachers are not allowed to tell the parents if the child is asked to be named a different name, like Jim becomes Jenna, for example.
Read this from a young kid, a teenager who, let's say for the sake of censors, they self-deleted after they had gender affirmation surgery. And then I'll do the rest of the video here, but I'll show you this. It says here, I have a gaping hole in my genital area with my colon spilling out, disgusting, and a ring of scar tissue blocking most of the entrance. If the colon can't discharge, then that leaves it with severe blockage, which then could turn and likely expected into blood clots, followed by death. I've already reached the stage of blockage. Yarden Silvera. What hurts me the most is the loneliness and the inability to find a partner. I can't have a normal sex life. I'm a loser and I probably deserve this deception. This is what I get for messing with nature. This is rough. Mankind is destructive and I self-destructed. I just wanted friendship and love. I wanted life to be easier. I wanted to be a woman since I was 15. I wish I had the knowledge that I have today. I was a confused kid with no identity. I wish I could have done everything different, but it's too late now. I'm royally screwed. Dr. Thomas Satterwhite and Dr. Maurice Garcia, both in California, and who are my original surgeons, have basically killed me. With accessory to my death is Dr. Miroslav Djordjevic, Dr. Rajveer Purohit, and Dr. Rachel Bluebond Langner, and Dr. Jess Ting, who all refused to help me despite having letters by one psychiatrist and 2 clinical social workers recommending reversal surgery and my detransitioning. Okay, folks, so this goes under the "Is anybody shocked?" column. So let's go right to it. Extremely concerning. X reacts to scary study about suicide risk following gender-affirming surgery. Now, suicide risk, now we can show suicide risk from these studies increases quite a bit after gender-affirming surgery. And some of you may have already are aware of this or may know about this, but let's go over this because this has just come up again. So it says, we'll be very curious to see how the follow the science crowd, remember them from COVID, who don't follow the science? Okay, they follow the scientism. Okay, that's the culture of the worship of scientists, but not actual following science. And so, yeah, we'll see how this crowd reacts to this study. The risk of suicide increases 12 times after gender-affirming surgery. Is anyone surprised? Okay, not the bee. Now, there's the Babylon Bee, which is, it's satire. But then there's one called Not the Bee that's also part of them, and it's actually real stuff going on. Real news. And it says, Not the Bee reports, a new study hot off the press has confirmed what most of us already knew. People who get, quote, gender-affirming surgery have more than 12 times higher instances of suicide attempts than those who do not get the surgeries. The study, supported with money from the National Institutes of Health and the University of Texas, was published just a few weeks ago and looked at data from over 90 million patients across the United States. It's pretty tragic, folks. It's tragic. I feel especially sorry for young people who've been pulled into this from like social media, from the education system, which is very much pushing this right now. And their brains are still developing. That's why they're taking advantage of young kids. And then young kids do this type of surgery and then they regret it. It's pretty sad for them. I feel I actually do have sympathy for those kids who are doing this because of peer pressure, because of pressure from the education system. Make no doubt, folks, the Department of Education, their job right now is to push this shit on people, to push transgenderism for young people, to say, we're the state. We are the wards of your children, not the parents, okay? So Elon Musk said, extremely concerning. Extremely. We are doing untold irreversible damage to people, if you don't know about that by now. But yeah, it's pretty sad. Man Church says, add it to the list of cures that are worse than the disease. Isn't that true? Yes, and the trans activist will still demand gender-affirming surgery and blame everyone else for the tragic outcomes. Careless Maximus says, the left will say it's because the bigots didn't affirm them, that they drove them to it. They will always find a way to placate their rebellion against the created order of God. And I'm not going to affirm something that's insane. And I'm not going to affirm something that isn't good for you either. This hacking off genitals, doing genital mutilation, surgery, chemical castration, especially for young people, absolutely am against it, if you haven't been able to tell already. And I'm not going to affirm anything because it is seriously, it's like watching somebody doing drugs. I'm not going to affirm that. I'm not going to say, hey, good job. I'm going to say, you should stop that shit. Like, you should stop that right now. Because that's what a real friend does. That's what somebody who cares says. They tell you, hey, man, I don't want to see you do this. This is going to end up 99% chance that this will end up bad. This will end up poorly. You will regret this. And so I'm giving you a warning because I love you. Or I like you as a friend, whatever. And so Anonymous MD says, I bet the suicide rate is lower for those getting rich doing the surgery. Wow, that's a fantastic point. Yeah, those doctors doing the surgeries. Yeah, you're complicit, folks. You are complicit. And the politicians pushing this agenda. Reminder that doctors tell parents that if they don't let their kids self-mutilate, then they will kill themselves. Yeah, that's pretty heavy-duty propaganda. The opposite seems to be true. Peter Gresham says, so they have finally done an official study on what everyone who was watching could see. Exactly. We all saw this coming. But give it about 10 years when this is ramped up from the top down, because the transgender agenda, especially the push for children to do this, is coming from top-down sources. This isn't some organic grassroots thing. The powers that be, they want this. They desire children to be like this. It's bizarre and disturbing. He says, having surgery to validate your mental health issues won't fix your mental health issues. Excellent, yeah. We all saw this coming. But unfortunately, some people have free will, but they're trying to make it like things that come out like, hey, like there was something in Sweden where they said, your baby knows when it's born, it's already transgender. No. This isn't idiocracy. This isn't fiction. This is real. Okay? They're saying this stuff. Remember, follow the science. No, they're not following the science. This is not following science in any way. And it goes completely against human nature. That's for another time, but there needs to be a reckoning. People need to pay, says Dick Comley. Lawsuits, legislation, and criminal charges in some cases. Exactly as we've been saying. Gender-affirming care is not compassionate, and it is abusive. Yep, it's straight up abuse, folks. All you do-gooder Democrats that support it, you're increasing the suicide rates, cementing mental illness, and physically mutilating them. And it's pretty much irreversible. That's the horrible, almost demonic part of this whole thing. Okay, so, Yeah, criminal charges, including the Biden administration. 12 times the suicide rate post gender affirming surgery. The butchers and liars were murderously wrong. The Cass report indicated this. Canada and the US are still enabling this. That's you, POTUS, and Justin Trudeau, and it is utterly barbarous and inexcusable. That's pretty much true. While the UK is moving away from gender affirming surgery, the US and Canada are full steam ahead. Consequences be damned. Consequences be damned, because they've decided, we're just going to throw the last vestige of ethics out the window, and we're just going to go straight for the money. We're just going to go straight for the money, because not only they know if you start at a young age doing this. So if you look at it from a financial perspective, we know now that when you get these surgeries, you're guaranteed to have complications, almost guaranteed to have complications. And so there's going to be multiple surgeries to take care of that, because especially if you do something that is like you create a faux vagina for a man, that I've seen some people talk about this, some people who had it done. And they were like, I have to go in because it's an open sore. It's just an open wound. But it has to be open because it's supposed to be a vagina or something. But it's a faux vagina. It's just an open hemorrhaging wound. And so they know that there's going to be complications. Absolutely. Because the body wants to heal. The body's looking at it going, there's this deep, severe slice and cut into me, but this is supposed to be open. And so there's going to be complications. There's going to be infection. I mean, the chances are sky high, but the thing is that's a guaranteed patient for the next 3 to 5 years, maybe even 10. You're going to have multiple operations to deal with the complications that follow. Septic, what's that called? I forget what that's called, but septic, it has to do with infections, but these type things happen. Staph infection. Anyway, the lawsuits in 10 years from these mutated children will bring down the whole medical industry. I know. It's going to be bad. This is very important. 12 times the rate post-surgery. Dodged more than a few bullets in my life. This was by far the luckiest one. Wow. This is very important. So let's look at some other comments here real quick. Okay. We'll look at Elon Musk stuff first. He just commented. He just said 2 words. I'm not gonna worship at the altar of Elon Musk, although I like the guy. But he just pointed it out, and that's I'm glad he did, because he gets a lot of views, and so he brings that awareness right up to the front. Sassafras says, this is why we keep saying it's a mental illness. They can be treated. Get help. Their life will never be the same, and they can't go back once mutilation occurs. The woke is very evil. Yeah, if you don't think the woke is evil, or if you think they're somewhat evil, you have no idea how evil they actually are. They're super evil. And this is why it needs to be classified as a mental illness. These people need help. I know in other mental illnesses, they say, hey, let's work on this. Let's get therapy. Let's, take some medications to deal with this, not chemical castration type medications. And they work through it. But this, for some reason, when it comes to this transgenderism stuff, they've made it illegal, actually, to try to talk people out of it. Like for a therapist to go, hey, there is a mental illness. You believe in this transgenderism, that this is going to solve your insecurities, whatever you have, especially as a teenager. Man, I mean, your brain is still not developed yet. And they're jumping the gun. They're just coming into these clinics, and because there's a lot of money behind this, and they're just like, oh, you want to be transgender? Great, let's do it right now. Barely any survey, barely any due diligence. Let's get you right in there and start this process so we can start, start the money changer. We can start counting the money. for the next 10 surgeries that you're going to have because of complications. It's a mental illness. Gender affirming surgery does not cure mental illness. No, in fact, it fuels the fire, makes it obviously 12 times worse, 12 times higher. The chances of suicide, 12 times higher. Please don't do it, folks. I'll tell you right now, if you're a kid out there, if anybody's watching, my videos get shadow banned galore, but don't do it. That's my suggestion. That's all I'm going to say. Not surprised. I wish people would look at the history. Women have been speaking about the devastating side effects of Lupron to treat endometriosis for years. Why would anyone ever want to advocate to provide these types of drugs for children? It says, Brandy Leperli was given Lupron to treat her endometriosis symptoms. Her body was sent into menopause overnight. I don't know what this is about. Anyway, Democrats are child abusers. Remember this when you vote. Yeah, it seems to be the case. Yes, except the left is glorifying it rather than offering these people help. It is truly sad. And that's, you know, that they don't care. If they're pushing this and they act like they care, and they're like, you're on social media and you say, oh, I'm kind of depressed, and you're some 15-year-old kid, and somebody jumps in the conversation and says, oh, well, maybe you want to be transgender. Maybe you're not in the right body. That's a jump to conclusions. And this just comes from random strangers, but I know that kids have had transgender surgery who've just gone off of these forums and these boards and these like social media posts where people encourage them to do this, and probably DMs too, where they're encouraging, they're surrounded by a group of people. I also think that there's some really nefarious actors out there on social media, probably paid to do this, who are encouraging children to do this. And so the kid will go, oh, I'm just kind of feel depressed. I'm 12 years old or 13 years old. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's a 12-year-old. They go through that. It's kind of a roller coaster of emotions at those ages. And of course, you have these nefarious demons who jump in there and absolutely pounce on that and say, maybe you're in the wrong body. Maybe it's your gender. And I'm like, there's a myriad of options to choose from, those being a few. There are so many other things that you could do, but they jump right to the transgender thing. One, it's mostly irreversible, and two, the medical industry is going to be making bank off you for the next 5 to 10 years. Rob Smith says this has always been true, and now this truth has been suppressed for long enough that a generation of confused teens have permanently mutilated their bodies and still kill themselves. I'm sure we'll hear zero apologies. Of course, like COVID, we didn't hear any apologies for that. We didn't hear any, we screwed up. There's 1 or 2 people who've said that, but no. This is how it is happening. Why are so many prepubescent children suddenly now interested in transitioning to the opposite sex? Did you know that there are pro-transgender apps for children's phones? Don't find out when it's too late. Wow. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Let's see. That's funny. The aliens, the OGs of making up genders. It's funny because they have all these signs too in the fields, when the aliens make the crop circles and stuff. That's what the gender stuff is all looking like too. That found a topic to continue dividing us. Let's see. This illustrates the true crisis hiding behind the colorful striped flags. Yes. Those colorful striped flags, the LG HDTV flag, that thing is a metaphor for confusion. I look at that flag now and it changes constantly to whatever the current thing is. So they slap on another color or a circle or whatever for Palestine, a chevron for transgender, a stripe for Black Lives Matter, a stripe for lesbian. It's a mess. And that flag to me is definitely right away I go, that is representative. The confusion of that flag is very representative of the confusion of the people behind that too. The people supporting that stuff. This is a mental illness. There's a crisis going on, and so that's all that represents to me. The other thing it represents is pretty much like a flag with a swastika. I mean, it has that same. It's going to be remembered that way. In 100 years from now, people are going to look back and go, "Man, look at all the damage and horrific stuff that was done in the name of that flag." So Stella says, the people saying elective surgery on young people improves their lives are liars, or even scarier, extremely brainwashed. Let's see. The people who want to call factual things they don't like constructs are hoping you don't notice gender theory is a construct. Exactly, it is. Transgenders have serious trouble in their minds, and they're also fueled. Remember, some of this may not necessarily be like a massive mental illness, but if you're being laundered, if your mind or your young brain is being laundered through this kaleidoscope of social media, it is going to fuel some fires. It's going to tap in and take advantage of some insecurities that are common among teenagers, especially. They're still figuring it out, and they're still trying to find out who they are. And that's why they target them. Democrats, radicals, these people, the powers that be, they target these children for a damn reason. And so anyway, I digress. But this, let's see. Oh, somebody, you should look at the stats on Ozempic. Yeah, I believe that too. Arrest every doctor and every parent. Conclusions. Persons with transsexualism after sex reassignment have considerably higher risks for mortality, suicidal behavior, and psychiatric morbidity than the general population. Let's see, many trans people suffer from comorbid mental health conditions. We keep pushing them into surgeries when they need other treatments. Democrats will be remembered as monsters for not putting more safety measures in place to prevent unnecessary surgeries. So anyway, I know it's a little more of a sober topic, but I want to highlight that too, because with this, definitely we need to call this out and push back on this. So anyway, thank you for watching, folks. Let me know what you think of this study, of how the rates are just skyrocket after gender affirmation surgery, as they call it, which is just mutilation. It's just abuse. It is severe. Especially with 20 and under, I would say this is child abuse. Absolutely. 18 and under. Let's say that. Absolute child abuse. So anyway, that's my stance, but let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.